Wagwan, everybody. It's your guy, O'Day, the Jamaican sensation Osborne. And, we're back at it again in the studio, season 3 for Wagwan with O'Day Osborne. And joining me in the studio, we have a special guest for us. And this guy is an up-and-comer boxer. So let's see if you guys can think about it for a second, who that might be. You know what? Forget it. Joining me in the studio, we have Shane Mosley Jr. What's going on?
What's going on, brother? Thank you for having me on, man. So I got to ask, man, what does Wagwan mean?
Okay, all right. So usually when I start my show, I'd say what Wagwan means. But I was like, I'm purposely not going to say it because I wanted you to ask me. So Wagwan is patois. In Jamaica, we speak patois. Mm-hmm. Like we say like, Wagwan, rude boy, what y'all do? Means like, what's going on, rude boy? What are you doing?
Right.
So Wagwan means like, what's going on? Wa means like what?
Yeah.
And guan means like go on.
Oh, yeah. It makes like now that we use, wow, that's
it's
crazy.
Just, you know what I mean?
You would have thought I would have got it by now, but yeah, that's dope, man.
So tell me, man, your name, you carry your dad's last name. I gotta ask. I know you've probably heard this question so many times. What is that like, carrying his last name and pursuing boxing?
Man, when I was young in my career, it was very, very hard because I didn't really understand, and I thought I had to be, him. Yeah. I thought I had to start off where he left off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And growing up, I'm a little bit older now, so I'm almost 10 years into my boxing career. It's like I realize now I'm my own man. I'm building my own career and legacy, and my career and legacy has nothing to do with his, right? And that took a lot of time, a lot of growth. But now I don't look at it like it's just like, yeah, well, that's really nice that he had a cool career. He also boxed too, like me, Not like I box like him, he boxed like me. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of reframe that and use it for yourself, right? Because if you let that overpower you, which it can most definitely, you won't do so good, right? Of course. And that's why a lot of sons of legends or family members of legends don't always do so well because they try to be
in the shadow.
And you got to take yourself out of that. You got to be able to look, that was cool over there, but I'm over here and this is who I am.
Yes.
Right.
That's amazing, man. And you do see that a lot. You see it a lot with father-son legends, and you see it a lot with brother legends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Brothers, actually, you see it far more, where the older brother was just a monster, at whatever sport, and then the younger brother, is kind of riding in his shadow, and it's harder for him to step out of that shadow, more often times than not, So I see that a lot of times, but it's great that you identify that. You know what I'm saying? That is very, very powerful that you were able to identify. You know what? This is who I want to be, and that's who he was.
Yeah.
Another
thing too is like, so my dad used to like train me, manage me, all that stuff.
I was going to ask about that actually.
And so, it was really, really hard to like, for people to like not ask about him when he's right behind me. You know what I mean? Like he's literally training me. Oh, what is it like being like this? And so I had to realize like that relationship doesn't work for me. You being my father, you being somebody I can come to and ask like, hey, what is it like, when your kids do this, you know what I mean? Or like, how'd you handle this situation when you were fighting, like, and when I can come to you as a man to man, that to me was more powerful. Rather than being my trainer and my coach. Not to say that he doesn't have a ridiculous amount of information, but I don't feel like it works well for me, him being that close, because it makes me feel like I gotta close up. So I realized that about myself. So I go, okay, I love you. The way that this relationship could work best is if you're over there and you're just helping me from the outside.
100%, man. And you see that so much. A few people it's worked for, like Floyd Mayweather, but even the greats like Venus and Serena, when they got to a certain level or a certain age, they left their father and you know what I'm saying, pursue different, because it is hard, man. It's very tough to coach your son, because it's different. It's difficult to separate the blurred line between father and coach. Because it's the father sometimes act way too hard on the sons, because they're projecting themselves
Right.
onto their sons, so it doesn't translate well.
Yeah.
You know, I had a guy who was a wrestling coach, and for the longest time, you know, he was his son's coach.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, his son, every time he would coach him, he'd freeze up. He would just freeze up, you know. And I saw it from a distance. Tried saying something to him about it, you know, like maybe you should let him, you know, coach other people, or wrestle with other coaches, like the assistant coaches and stuff like that. And you know, do you know that, you know, I brought up like, hey, you know that this is happening because of, you know, you are his father, so he's shutting down from you being a role model. You know what I'm saying? In a way. But yeah, man, I don't think necessarily dads should coach their sons. I just don't. That's my opinion.
You know, I think there's a real slippery slope. I feel like there are some relationships that can get it done, but I feel like the vast majority cannot. And if you can do that and that works for you and that relationship is cool. But for me, I realized that my relationship with my dad, especially when I was young, I remember when I was like 2 years old going to the gym and like him like strolling me to the gym. Yeah. So I grew up being his support system, being the you know what I mean? Oh man, my dad is great. You know what I mean? So when he was there, it almost felt like I had to revert back to being his support system rather than rising up and being like, I got to be above you now. Yeah. I got to be like, you know what I mean? My own self. And that takes a lot of mental growth. Yeah. If you can do that. So that, you know, and that's hard when they're so close to you all of the time. Yeah. To separate that, because you have to change that relationship, and maybe they don't want to change that relationship, or you don't want to change that relationship.
So do you think, did you and your dad, and this is a little personal, did you and your dad have a strain on your relationship because of the coaching aspect? Would you feel like, did that impact your relationship?
I think to a certain degree, it did. Yeah. And then, so like I said, my dad was my trainer, my manager, all that stuff. And then there was a point where I think we both realized that, like, you know, it wasn't working. So he was like, hey man, like, you know, like, you want to work with, you know, like this coach? And I was like, yeah, I'm start working with this coach. And then it just kind of like, you know what I mean? I started going, so I'll go with this one.
That's amazing though.
You know, and so we luckily were able to kind of like have that separation. But when I had that separation, it was like, okay, I'm gonna move out now. I'm gonna go, you know,
do my own thing.
And then just naturally, I just kind of grew away. Yes. And then, you know, we, you know, obviously was still talking and stuff like that. But then I moved out here to Las Vegas.
Where's he now?
He's in Big Bear, California.
Okay.
Yeah. But so I moved out here to Las Vegas like 5-6 years ago. Yeah. And I feel like that also helped me grow tremendously. Like, so just being able to figure it all out, trying to put my whole own career together, getting my own manager, getting my own, like, all that stuff together.
Growth.
That growth helped me see that, like, I needed to do this by myself.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because I feel like when you are a fighter, you take everything you are as a man into that ring or that octagon. Yeah. Right. So you need to be bettering yourself as a man or as a person all the way through in every aspect, because you take everything that you are and you fight everything he is. Yeah. So I have to be better than you in every way.
Every aspect.
Yep.
That's what fighting comes down to, man. And that's why I love fighting in that aspect. I love fighting in that aspect. It's like man to man. We both have access to the same equipment, the same gloves, the same coaches, the same strength and conditioning rooms, the same tracks, the same mountains. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, who wants it more internally? Like you said, you're taking all of your being, everything that's happened to you in your childhood, into that octagon. And you have to, you know, harness your abilities through that, through who you have, through who you've crafted.
Right.
You know?
And you know what's so funny is I don't know if anybody ever like put it this way, but I think like fighting is such a spiritual battle the way that it's created,
Yeah.
right? So it's so funny because we cut weight
Mm-hmm.
or you go through a period of time where you're probably fasting or you're not eating as much. And what does fasting do? It builds that spiritual side of you.
It does.
You have to get real close to yourself and all those fears and all those that stuff. And then the next day, guess what we're doing? We're taking that out and we're fighting.
Yes.
Like I feel like it was created for a fight.
Yeah, and like you said though, it's spiritual, man.
Yeah.
When you cut weight and you fast, people don't understand. You're weaning out all the toxins and all the acids and everything negative in your body. So when you don't have all of those in your body becomes more innate to the land, the water, the ocean, the air. It's more sensitive to everything around you.
Stuff smells different, man.
Stuff smells so different, and it's crazy how that, I can't never explain to people what it's like to cut weight and get into that mindset, but it is so spiritual. You know how the monks, they used to be so spiritual.
Right.
And I see now when I cut weight, I'm like, oh, this is how the monks feel. That's at least that's what I put it, I portray it because
I 100% agree.
Because that's some of the most spiritual moments of my life, man. When I'm sitting there in that bathtub cutting weight and I have nothing in my body, and I just, not only that, but I think about other people in the world, like, wow, I'm only gonna be hungry for, maybe 5 hours.
Yep.
Or maybe 12 hours, however many hours I'll be hungry cutting weight. But there's people starving around the world right now
That feel this
all
the time.
I'm just like, wow, I am so blessed, lucky, and also I take things for granted.
Right. Right.
So that spirituality of fighting makes you realize and recognize all of that. Not only that, but when you get beat, it's a humbling experience if you have the ego chip, what I'm saying?
Right.
Which leaving Florida for me, I had a bit of an ego when you're younger. When you're younger and you come up, sometimes you get
I'm that guy. That guy. Nobody can touch me.
And man, I had a bit of an ego, and after my first loss, and I went to a gym where I didn't feel appreciated after a certain amount of time, and I took my loss, and I thought a coach was supposed to help me up, pick me up when I took my loss. But it was good for me that I didn't get picked up,
right?
Because I got to be broken for the first time in my life, and I needed that. At a young age, I needed to be broken,
right?
And then I had to rebuild myself.
You had to pick yourself up.
Yes, I had to leave that gym, go to a different gym, and slowly pick myself up one piece at a time. And because that's the thing, man. It's like we are eggs, right? For example, if you boil an egg and you drop it and it cracks, you can put all those the eggshells back together, but them cracks still remain, and that's how I feel that we are, you know what I'm saying? We can be as strong as ever and as whole as ever, but we still remember everything that's happened to us, and we take those moments and we harness those to be fighters.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the greatest of fighters lose and come back from it.
Yes.
Right. I feel like, this whole thing of like being undefeated, I feel like it's trash. I feel like we should get rid of it. Like, I mean, obviously if you nobody can beat you, then great.
Yeah.
But if you take a loss, I don't feel like you should take it so hard, especially in my sport. Boxing, you lose, then they act like you're a piece of trash.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, who is this guy? Why is he even fighting? It's like, no, man, the greatest of the greats have lost, and it's what we do when we come back. And how do we recover from that? How do we rebuild from that? How do we become greater because of that loss?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's the most important part.
That's profound, man. That's really profound. And I agree with 100% everything you said, because we live in a society where success and winning is not enough. What I mean by that is, you're a boxer, you win your fight.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, is proud of you. You win 5 more, they're even more proud of you. Then you lose one, and then, you become this thing where it's like, you're this person, you're this and you're that. People sometimes view success as, oh, you're a champion and you're never going to lose. And so when you do lose, they're like, what is wrong with you? It's like, that's what humans do. Humans lose. humans lose in fighting. Humans lose. We lose all the time in things. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoy humanizing people like yourself who say things like that. That's human. You know, it's human. You know, it's human to lose and learn from your mistakes, not just in fighting, but in anything. Absolutely. You know, in a project. You know, at work. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? When you lose, you didn't die. You didn't quit. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean you quit. When you lose, you get an opportunity to learn. Okay, you know what? I guess I need to improve in these areas. Yep. What are some areas I can improve in? Okay, these areas I was lacking in. All right, fine. Let me take that step to improve in those areas. For example, if you're somebody with a terrible ego, right? You go around thinking you're, Billy Badass, right? And then you meet Billy Badass and he comes and beats your ass. Then all of a sudden you become humbled and you say, oh man, like I guess I wasn't as good as I thought I was, you know? But it's not the action of somebody being like, it's not, I guess I wasn't as good as I thought I was. It's more the action of the feeling that just because you are undefeated, it doesn't make you better than anybody else. Right. Or just because you're a UFC fighter or a boxer, it doesn't make you better than anybody else. We are all the same people. And that's what losing, in my opinion, helps with not just learning, but understanding that, we are all one. We're all the same. We all face different things. So speaking of UFC and MMA, UFC and boxing, I know I've seen you at Syndicate a couple times, doing your thing in the MMA realm, and seen you hit pads and grappling and doing that stuff. So I gotta know, man, what do you think is harder, MMA or boxing, and why?
All right. So, well, I'll start off by saying,
okay.
When I started at Syndicate, I actually had just taken my last loss, so it was my fourth loss of my career, and I was at this point, like we said about losing, I mean, everybody calling you, oh, what are you gonna do with your career? Are you gonna quit boxing and all this stuff? And I was kind of, obviously after a loss, you start to really think oh man, what am I gonna do? Do I really want to box anymore, or do I really want to fight anymore? And Syndicate and training with you guys, training with all the pros on the pro team. It just kind of came about, but it was fun for me, and it brought that fighting back to that love of fighting back, and just seeing all these guys there, seeing all these UFC guys, and
made you miss it.
Yeah, man, it made me love it again. Yeah. You know what I mean? I fell in love with fighting again. Yeah, and that made me want to even box again. And I was like, man, that's what I needed. So, and it was hard. You know what I mean? Man, you try wrestling or grappling and kicking and all this stuff, and then you try to stand up and fight. It is ridiculously hard. Ridiculously hard. And with that, going back to your question, I think MMA is vastly harder, way harder. I compare it to if we're gonna do a knife fight. Yeah. Opposed to we're in the middle of a battlefield and a war, right? It's that big of a difference. Now, there can be complexities and difficulties in that knife fight, especially if you have another experienced knife fighter on the other side of that, right? This can be very, very challenging and hard. And obviously, because of his, if he has a lot of experience, there's a lot to think about. But if I got to worry about a kick, I got to worry about him taking me down. I got to worry about him breaking my leg off. Elbows, knees, all this stuff. It's just more of a mental stack that you have to think about in that fight. So I have more dangers, and that puts more stress on my body and stress on my mind, and where the difficulty comes. And that's why I feel like, MMA is going to be harder. Now, I've heard the people, especially boxers, say, well, there's more time where you can rest. If you grab them, you can rest. But the whole entire time, even when I'm resting, I'm working. Yeah, I have to hold him down. I have to that's hard. And then I would have to get back up and want to start punching again. My arms are gonna be right.
But not only that, if you're resting, right? So say if you're on bottom and you're somebody take you down, or if you're on top and you're resting, somebody is trying to beat the shit out of you. Right. Who's time to rest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got
Yeah.
another grown man fighting me. Ain't nobody got time to be like,
Right.
like, nah, man.
No.
There's elbows coming. There's punches coming. It's people
Yeah.
trying to submit you. You know, like we ain't trying to rest.
Yeah, so definitely more difficult. But you know, on the other side of that, right? If an MMA guy goes boxing, he doesn't have as much reps as I do with my craft.
Yes.
Right? With those just single hands. So it's gonna be I'm gonna have the advantage when it comes to that. So, you know, there's this fight, but when we're talking about difficulty, I would say MMA is definitely more difficult.
Yeah, because when I go box, man, my arms get so tired, you know, because when I'm striking, right, I'm like, okay, you know, there's striking, there's wrestling, you know, there's kicking, you know what I'm saying? So it's not, I'm not just using my hands, I'm using my legs a lot.
Yeah.
Most of it is my legs with my movements, you know, distance control. But boxing, when I box, I'm just using arms, and I get, man, my arms. Right. I'm like, wow, this is crazy how you guys do this with just your arms. That's nuts.
I also noticed too, like a lot of MMA guys, they use their hands more as an accessory.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there's some fighters like, you know, Sean Strickland and, you know, a lot of, you know, some boxers, they like to keep more like action.
Yep.
He likes to, you know, do hands. But, you know what I mean? Like most of them use it as an accessory. I'm going to set up my kick or set up my takedown, set up like, you know, certain moves that I can get you into a, you know, a lock or whatever the case is. So, you know what I mean? Like,
do you know why?
Why do they do that? Well, because obviously my knee to your face is going to be a lot more impactful than my hands.
and when you say like using it as a setup too, because sometimes if you throw a punch and you're going to kick and you're throwing a hard punch, if you're throwing a hard punch, your momentum is going into that hard punch.
Right.
So sometimes you don't want to throw a hard, you know, punch where you're, sometimes to create angles, you need to take some off of your punch.
Right.
So that's where the excessive, you know, using it as an accessory sometimes will move their hand to kick but you got it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, another thing, when I realized when I was training with you guys is when I would throw a hard shot, it would leave me open for a takedown or leave me open for a kick.
Yep.
Because I'm overcommitting to that shot because, you know, like obviously I don't have to, in boxing, I don't have to worry about a kick or a knee or him grabbing me coming into place. So I can throw a hard shot. But if I throw a hard shot and I miss or I get too close to you, you could take me down and grab me. So, you know, there's a reason why it's an accessory.
Yeah, MMA is like chess live. It's like live chess. Remember Harry Potter where they had the little chess battlefield? That's what it's like, because even when I throw a kick, I'm like, okay, in my mind, even if my opponent doesn't throw a kick right back, in my mind, I'm not just like throw a kick and that's it. In my mind, I'm throwing a kick and I'm like, okay, he's probably going to kick back. Yeah. So I'm immediately trying to defend or block that kick, whatever kick he's coming back. I'm you know what I'm saying, trying to block that. Meanwhile, I'm gonna return, set up my next move. Your mind is always going. It's always it's just because there's so many different variables, like you said. There's takedowns, knees, elbows, kicks, you know, spin techniques. Right. There's so many different variables, man. But that's what makes it so damn exciting and fun.
Oh, yeah. That's why people love it. You know what I mean? Because you don't know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? You might get a Masvidal knee. You know what I mean? You might get my man that when he grabbed his hand, he did a spinning kick into the face. Like that crazy knockout. Was it Buckley?
Buckley, yes.
Yeah,
Joaquin.
That was insane.
He's actually fighting this weekend.
Is he?
Yes. Buckley was actually on my podcast. He's on there. He's on here twice.
Oh, nice.
He's a super cool guy, man.
Yeah.
And he's such an entertaining fighter. He's so entertaining, man.
He is.
Yeah, he's so entertaining.
I mean, I feel like that's probably one of the best knockouts
ever.
It's up there for like one of the best knockouts.
It's the best. It is the best knockout in the UFC.
Well, that Masvidal knee was pretty crazy.
It was too, but anybody could do a knee. I mean, come on, man. Anybody can knee somebody in the head.
I feel you.
You know what I mean?
I feel you.
But not anybody can spin kick someone to the dome after they catch your kick.
Right.
To the dome. Yo, Chase, if you could pull that up on YouTube or something, man, you gotta show the fans.
Let's see what I can do.
All right, that'd be dope, man. Joaquin Buckley, Jauq something Buckley.
And that's another thing about MMA, man. You got to worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you block the shot, and then he comes back and spins and kicks you right in the face, man. Like,
for
whoa.
real.
That's insane.
It really is, man. And not just that, but MMA fans are hilarious. You ever see some of these memes out there? Oh my goodness. Some of these
What's
memes,
the craziest thing you ever heard? Like somebody said about you or your performance or something like that.
in the cage or like okay,
like
all
a
right.
tweet
So
or something
all
like
right. Funny story. So, Contender Series, getting on Contender Series, right? So for those of you guys who are trying to get on Contender Series, here's something you need to know. When you get the opportunity to go on Contender Series, put on a show. When you get the mic, use the mic and utilize your mic time. Be exciting on the mic if you win. If you're in there fighting, be exciting and leave it all out there in the cage. Don't just try to win by score. Win by trying to finish your opponent, okay? The reason why I said that is I was on 10, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew I need to put on a show in the cage and on the mic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So, I got that's not really me. It's not really who I am, but look, you got to do what sells.
Yeah,
and so I got on that mic and I was like, boom, grab the mic. And I was like, everybody, just so y'all know, I'm the next best thing. I am the Picasso. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, no one got nothing on me. Right. And then my first fight coming up, I fought on a Conor McGregor card. Okay. And I was like, like someday Conor McGregor is going to tell everybody that he fought on my card. And then I lost. Oh, man. Hey, not only did I lose, so I got submitted by Brian Kelleher. Okay. And how the submission was, right? He wrapped my neck up, and I tried to reach for his glove and break the grip. Yeah. And as I was trying to break the grip, he got my hand in there, so I couldn't tap. So I tapped. I looked like a complete bitch. I had to tap. Damn. I had to tap with my foot. Oh, no. I had to tap with my foot. Bro, no, for real. And to this day, people will be like, aren't you the guy that fought, that Conor McGregor fought on your card? They'd be like, yo, did Conor fight on your card? Aren't you that dude? But that was also a humbling experience, you know what I mean? Because that's not really me. That's not my personality. And God was like, look, man, you doing too much. All right, chill. Settle down, little man.
I've got your kick here.
Oh, yes. So check this out, y'all. Check this out. Joaquin Buckley, man. Hey. This man is nice. Look at this. Beam!
Watch this. Oh, man.
He's fighting this week.
We'll watch that one more time for everybody.
Yeah. We got to watch that one more time.
Come on, look. My man said, beam! Ooh. New Mansa. Man, I love Joaquin, man. Because the reason why I like Joaquin so much, man, is... I'm just going to say it. Yeah. I'm like, man, UFC, y'all know y'all put a nigga in the UFC? You ever seen him when he wins? Yeah. It's like that one uncle from the barbecue that comes to the barbecue who's always hyped, who's always like, yeah. I'm like, that Joaquin is a straight man. He's from the hood. Right. You can tell, man.
Where's he from? Kansas City?
No, Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
Michigan. And I love it, man. I love his personality because he is who he is, man. He is 100% himself, authentic. That's Joaquin, man. I love it, bro. I'm with it, man. That's awesome. But yeah, man, unfortunately, that's all we have today for time. Dude, it was a pleasure getting a time to, talk to you in depth. 'Cause I've seen you so many times that we really never got a chance to really sit down and talk and have a conversation and stuff like that. So is there anything before we go, is there anything you want to announce? Do you have anything coming up in the pipeline? Or?
Yeah, man. So coming up, fingers crossed, obviously, until you got that pen to the paper, it's not set. But December 2nd, hopefully everything goes well. We can fight then on Ryan Garcia's undercard. Man. So yeah, that'd be a big one.
Where would that be?
I believe San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, let's go. Texas has been having a lot of boxing events lately.
Man. I mean, they got a lot of fight fans there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a lot of fight fans.
For sure, man. That's what's up. Man, I appreciate you again, man, having you on the show. It's always a pleasure. Please do me a favor and come back. You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm going to cut these clips up and share them and tag you and all that stuff. And please follow my guy, Shane Mosley Jr. on Instagram. His @tag is going to be on here. So there it is right there. Follow him. Check him out. He's an amazing guy, amazing character, amazing boxer, guys. Well, that's all the time we have for today. And we're going to wrap up this show. Wagwan with Ode Osborne. And that is all. Out.